There we are. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's go ahead and get this day started. We are, of course, on the topic of pre-qualification, the power of prequal, and getting to that next level. So let's go ahead and continue to pick up with where we left off. And of course, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, you're welcome to feel free to ask them away. And then for those of you that are joining us over on YouTube, also on Instagram, I'm going to encourage you to come join us over on Zoom as I'm going to continue to showcase and share the scripts that we're going to be using. We have two different scripts we're going to go over this month. The first one is going to be the standard pre-qualification, standard seller, mom, pop, kids, two dogs, cat, and a goldfish. And then we're going to also have the pre-qualification of the investor. So we're going to go over both of those scripts. What does that look like? Why do we pre-qualify? What's the purpose of it? What's the benefit of it? And continuing to move in that direction. All right, so let's pick up with where we left off. I'm going to do a quick little, recap of what we basically did here yesterday and what the purpose of pre-qualification is. So number one, we have to remember that the power of pre-qualification, the primary purpose is to separate us from the competition. If you're going out and you're competing with other realtors, it's going to be probably the best way to separate yourself from the competition. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, others don't. Let me ask you rhetorically, how many of you are currently pre-qualifying all of your sellers? Okay, we're talking about sellers in specific at this point. So how many of you are pre-qualifying your sellers at this point? Very few. Okay, very, very, very few. Now, also, why is it important to pre-qualify? It's important because we want to identify one of two things. Number one is going to be the motivation. Number two is going to be any potential objections. Now, when we go out to doing these presentations, a large percentage, I'll exclude all of you here in my audience and of course myself, unfortunately, what do they focus on? They focus on themselves. They focus on the company. They focus on, oh my gosh, look at me, how amazing I am. Let me show you all of these great things about me. Let me show you all these awards that I've won. Let me show you basically about our company, how amazing our company is. And oh yeah, by the way, let me go ahead and show you some comparables, and then that way we can determine the price that I'm going to list your home at. That's not the approach that I want you to take. The approach that I want you to take is I want you to be able to know their motivation. What's their purpose? Why are they wanting to make this move? And in that, the more that we know their motivation, the more that we can identify the reason, it gives us the opportunity to, when we present more on them and less about us. So when you're doing your job and you are finding yourself in a position where you're doing a presentation with a stranger, anybody ever do that? Okay, hopefully a lot, okay? Because there's more people that you don't know than people that you do know. So, and because of that, when you're focusing on them, it gives you the opportunity to make them feel, of course, important, make them feel special. Number two is how many times you go out on a presentation and at the very end of it, you just kind of go, hey, so what do you think? Are you guys ready to move forward? And they go, well, we're going to think about it. Well, we have another agent to interview. We're probably thinking about doing this later down the road. We're not ready. We're really just wanting information just so that we can refinance. All of these things. You're going to want to know, no different than a test, the answers to the test. And that way, when you know the answers to the test in advance, you can go ahead and prepare or be better prepared for when you do your listing presentation. Okay. My best year ever, okay, is 92%. For some of you, it's kind of like, okay, well, whatever. Well, when you're going out on 120 presentations, you're taking almost 110 listings, it's a big deal. Okay, especially when you're going out there and you're working with expireds, people that don't know you, they're upset, they're pissed off, they're just absolutely annoyed and agitated, and they just don't want to do business with really anybody, but they have to sell. I guess I'll go with this person. Or how about for sale by owners? Okay, yeah, they know it all. At least they think that they know more than we do. So this allows you the opportunity, of course, to be better prepared. Some of you are like, well, when I go out and meet with my friends and my family, I'm going to get a large percentage of them. Sure, that's very likely. They're probably already made the decision before you even walked in the door. But when you start working with a larger scale of people, it is important that you are looking at their motivation, You're looking at what it is that they want to accomplish. Now, just imagine if I came to this forum and all I talked about was me, how amazing I am. I'm great. I'm here. I'm there. I'm all this other stuff. I have all these accolades. I've won all these awards. I was a number one agent. I was this, that. You guys are going to be absolutely turned off. What I focus on is you guys. What I focus on is how I can help you. What I focus on is what's the benefit of with what we're accomplishing here. And it's the same thing that I want you to do and the same approach that I want you to take when you go out onto these presentations. Because without that, you're not well equipped. Okay. So that's going to set you apart. I guarantee you, if I pulled every single last person that has come in and out of here, MIT Millionaires in Training, coming in with all the things that we've talked about, how many of the agents pre-qualify, the likelihood is it's probably maybe 2 or 3 out of 20, maybe. Okay, and that's going to be 10 to 20%. So that's going to separate you. When working with a buyer, you of course want to get them pre-qualified. Okay, now if it's just a buyer, you're going to want to go through, ideally you're going to want to pre-qualify them in advance before you show them homes. We already know the majority of that, but for some of you, you don't have your license yet. Some of you are just getting started. What do I do? When do I do that? You're going to want to, of course, get them pre-qualified before you open a door. There is going to be an exception. The exception is when you're working with online leads. The online leads, we'll talk about it at a later time. When you're working with online leads, you might have to show them a house or 2 or 5 and then have to do the pre-qualify. Okay, it's a little bit of a different ballgame, but the goal is to get them pre-qualified as quickly as possible. Next thing, what about buyers that are going to be selling? So they need to sell their home in order to buy the next home. You're going to want to go out, do the listing presentation. You're going to want to secure the listing contract. And then, and only then, is when you're going to go through and you're going to now pre-qualify them from a purchasing side. I don't want you to pre-qualify them before. I don't want you to go through and identify all of their financials before you go and to the listing presentation. Because how easy is it to get qualified with the buyer qualification? Not always, okay? For some, yeah, piece of cake, no big deal. Here we go, awesome, you're qualified for $1 million. But for others, it's kind of like, I need a little tweak here. I need you to pay this down over there. I need you to close this account. I need you to get this caught up. You have a couple of late notices. We're gonna have to go ahead and hold off for a little bit. So they always need a little bit of work. And we don't want that window of time, whether it's a week or 2 or a month or 2, to discourage them from continuing to move forward. By securing the listing contract in advance, it gives you the opportunity to retain the relationship. And then you can work on, okay, well, let's take another month or 2 to get you qualified on the buy side. Okay, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything that I can address this morning? No, we're good. I'll keep moving on. If you have any questions, again, Instagram, YouTube, I'm going to encourage you guys to come join us. Those of you that are on Facebook, if you guys aren't going to join us, that's perfectly fine. You're welcome to ask questions in any of those platforms. And my assistants, of course, will be redirecting those messages over to me. All right, let's move on. Now, what we also want to look for is we want to look for people that have to sell. Okay, and this is it sounds like a silly yet basic point, but we want to look for people that have to sell versus people that want to sell. And we're going to take everybody. Obviously we're going to take with whatever's in front of us, but ideally we're looking for people that are in a position that have to sell. Who are those people? Okay, who are the people that have to sell? What about the people that are going through financial stress, okay, or financial gain? All of a sudden they went from making 80,000 to where now they're making 150,000. They lost their job. They haven't made the mortgage in the last 3 months. How about going through a divorce? How about finding themselves in a position where they're in this very nice, cozy 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo that they've lived in for the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And now all of a sudden they find out that they're pregnant with twins, which is now going to be baby number 2 and number 3. Well, the 3 kids in a 1-bedroom or the 1-bedroom plus their own bedroom is not going to make much more sense. How about people that are needing to relocate? How about like a job transfer? People like that. How about empty nesters? They, bought this 3,200 square foot home, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and they raised 3 kids out of the home, made so many memories. And here we are, all of a sudden, 15, 20 years later, the home is way too big. This side of the house is not even being attended to. There's nothing but dust being collected. We want to look more for those people. Okay? And where are we going to find them? Well, there's 63 different sources of business that you can go after that's been identified on how to generate business. That's up to you. Expireds, FISBOs, just listed, door knocking, open houses, online leads, postcards, mailers, you name it. There's so many different avenues that you can actually go after. That's going to be up to you. I can tell you though, the ones that have been proven to be the most lucrative, if you're looking for a paycheck today, how many of you are looking for a paycheck today? Okay. If you're looking for a paycheck today, the number one source is going to be for sale by owners. They have all 100% of them raised their hand. 100% of the for sale by owners raised their hand and said, hey, I want to sell my home. If you can bring me a buyer, I want to sell it. Okay. Or, hey, for that matter, if you can bring me an offer, I'll sell it. So that's 100% of the people that have been identified. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Is it easy though? Nope. We're going to go over that in a different month, and we're going to break that down. Number two is going to be the expireds. Expireds is another great source. Both of those require skill, though, which is the purpose of what we're here for. Okay. Now, I'm not selling you on going after for sale by owners. Some of you guys are like, heck no, I'm not going after them. Number two is the expireds. Heck no, no way. I'm not going to get in that position where I'm going to get yelled at every single morning. Well, that's your prerogative. I'm just giving you some ideas and suggestions where you can get that next client. Number three is going to be your personal database, your friends and your family. Okay. And this is probably the biggest challenge and separation between the agents that are doing high levels of success and agents that are unfortunately not. The agents that are doing high levels of success, those agents that are doing 50, 75, 100, 500 plus deals a year, plenty of millionaires, 26 millionaires that I've had the good fortune of coaching. What they're all consistent on is that number one source, that database. Okay. The agents that unfortunately don't succeed and don't do well, they evade their personal database. And there's this big discrepancy, okay, in regards to the agents that unfortunately are just sputtering at the bottom and then finally fizzle themselves out of the business or just never excel. And that's going to be the personal database. So you can go through so many different sources. I'm not trying to sell you on any. That's not my job. All I'm simply saying is I want you to look for more people that have to sell. Because if not, you're going to find yourself in a position where these people that want to sell, they're super picky, they're unrealistic about their price. They sit there and they make an upgrade in their kitchen and they think that it's worth an extra $50,000, $100,000 when all they really did is just repaint the cabinets. Okay, so you're going to want to look for the people that have to sell. If you have any questions, again, feel free to go ahead and ask that. Keep the questions coming. Now, let's talk about it. I'm going to show the script here in about 5 minutes. So again, for those of you that are over on YouTube, Instagram, I'm going to encourage you to come join us over on Zoom so that you can see what I'm sharing. Okay, you don't have to show your face. I just want you to show up so you can see with what I'm sharing with everyone. Now, building rapport. Let's talk about building rapport. What's the benefit in pre-qualifying and the building of rapport? How do those things, in a sense, connect? How do they become one? Well, when most agents, what they do is when they don't pre-qualify, they walk into the home. What do? They get toured by the seller, get oversold by the seller, and then they start to look at things and they go, ooh, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I love that. I love your curtains. They're so nice. Love your couch. Oh my gosh, this green carpet. Where did you find that? Right? Or you sit there and start talking about the kids or the dogs or the whatevers. You start talking about things that is just absolutely irrelevant when it comes time to selling a home. When we pre-qualify, we identify their motivation. Now, when you sit there and you talk about, there's basically, one of my favorite books, which I'm a little bit of a stubborn person at times. Okay, most of my family will say a lot of times, but most of the time, I'm working on or listening to the book of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, I think I've listened to that or read that book actually, I don't know, maybe 20 times in the last 30 years. A little bit of a slow learner. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up in the How to Win Friends and Influence People, the whole emphasis, the whole purpose, the whole preface of the book, the purpose of the book is talking more about them and less about you, making them feel important. And that's how we build rapport. We build rapport by just simply talking about them. We talk about them, not about the curtains where they got them from. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. You got them in India. You got them in Calcutta when you went last time. That's awesome. That's great. The sweet little old lady. No. They want to talk about them, their needs, their wants, their desires. What's the benefit of getting a bigger home? What's the benefit of getting a smaller home? Which of the two of you is most excited about making this move? How do the kids feel about making the move? What are you guys most looking forward to in the next home? Now, having a bigger kitchen, a bigger yard, a bigger whatever, having a pool, how is that going to benefit you and your family? Do you guys host? Which of all of the holidays do you guys mostly host? Which ones do you enjoy the most? They'd rather talk about that than sit there and talk about their curtains, which is the cheesiest thing you could sit there and talk about. Okay. So in that, the pre-qualification is going to set you simply apart because it allows you the opportunity to build rapport from a professional aspect, not from a cheesy aspect. Okay. So, all right. Now let's go ahead and move on. One more thing. I'll make sure that I leave this note here. With the pre-qualification, the script that I'm going to share with you guys here in about 90 seconds, I want you to have a copy of this with you at all times because you never ever know. We find ourselves in a position, we're out in the streets, all of a sudden we get a call, we get a text, and Robert, hey, we're thinking about possibly selling our home. Is there any chance we can get together here in the next day or two? I want to be in a position where I can pre-qualify them right then and there. So I want you to have a copy of the prequel with you at all times. Have a copy in your car, have them on your phone, put them in Google Docs, put them somewhere where you're always going to need them. If you need a copy of the scripts, you need a copy of the pre-qualification, you guys are welcome to, as always, send me a DM, preferably over on Instagram. And you guys I'll send you a copy of the scripts. Okay, so that way you can have a copy and a version of them. All right, now let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to share the script here. Again, for those of you that are over on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Instagram, same exact thing, but I'm going to encourage you to come join us over on Zoom, as this is going to give us the option or the opportunity to be able to see, not just hear with what I'm saying. So let me go ahead and get this pulled up. And then if you have any questions, anybody have any questions that I can address? Anybody lost in regards to the purpose of the prequel or uncomfortable about the prequel? Why do we prequel? The purpose of prequel? Anybody from that perspective? No, we're good? Okay, got it all figured out. I love to think I'm an amazing coach. All right, let's break this down. Yesterday, I talked about, again, for those of you guys that are joining us here on Instagram, thank you for joining us. Got to come join us over on Zoom because I'm sharing a script here. So I know there's a few of you that joined us. But anyways, come join us over on Zoom so you can see what I'm sharing with everybody. Pre-qualification. So right out the gate, yesterday I talked about the very first question. If what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning on listing your home with me when I come out tomorrow on Friday at 5 o'clock, whatever? I'm going to encourage you, if you feel uncomfortable with this question, I don't want you to not ask the question. And you want to, okay, how do I actually go and ask some of the other questions without asking this question right out the gate? Well, what I'd want you to do is I want you to just simply move it down towards the bottom of the script. And why do I want you to do that? It's because I get it. I understand some of you haven't set a listing appointment in a month. Some of you haven't set a listing appointment in 4 months, 6 months. This is your first listing appointment. And the last thing I want to do is simply sit there and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, hey, this is Robert. We got our appointment on Friday at 4 o'clock. I'm really excited about coming out and talking to you about getting your home sold. I'm curious if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home. Are you planning on listing your home with me when I come out? And they say no. Well, some of you may or may not, but a large percentage of you may get discouraged or uncomfortable when they sit there and say, no, we're not really planning on selling our house or listing with you. Because where do I go from there? How do I pick up the pieces from where I'm at this moment? Okay. So some of you feel uncomfortable with that, and that's okay. What I want you to do, if you prefer, is simply just move it down. For those of you that are being coached by me, do not, under any circumstances, move that line. And here's the reason for that. So by the time you move question number 1 down below question number 13, if I move that to the very, very end, it's going to take about 10, 15, 20 minutes to go through this pre-qualification. And then at the very end, I ask them that question and they go, no. And then I ask them, well, okay, well, then what's the purpose of me coming out? Well, we just wanted to know the value of our home. Well, I just invested 15, 20 minutes of a conversation with this person that just simply wants to know the value of their home. You can get that on Zillow. or I can send you comps. I didn't need to go through this entire pre-qualification. Or we're thinking about refinancing, or we're thinking about doing it, but we're not going to do it until next year. Okay. So, that's something that's very, very important. I'd rather know up front. I'd rather know right at the very beginning instead of being in a position where I'm trying to find out at the end. Okay. So again, if you guys are being coached by me, I do not want you to move that question. Why do we ask that question? The reason we ask that question is, number one, is we want to know whether they are ready to make a decision or if they're not ready to make a decision. Okay. And if they are, great, we continue to move forward. But we are going to get sometimes different responses. And the responses might be well, we are going to sell our house, but we haven't decided who to go with. We are going to be selling. We just don't know if we want to do it now. We might consider doing it later. Those are all perfectly fine. Those are, in a sense, objections. But I want to know that in advance, because in that, I'm going to sit there and say, well, what would be the benefit of doing it later? Well, we hear that the Fed is going to be cutting rates and the interest rate's going to be a little bit better probably in the fall. So it might make more sense to do that then. I can handle this objection. I have no problem with handling this objection. But at least I know at the beginning with what are some reservations that they may have. Okay. Now, question number 2, which again, I'm sharing on here. Okay. What I'm sharing on here is in regards to, are you planning on interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? Anybody ever go out to a presentation and then at the very end they go, hey, thank you, Robert, I appreciate the information. We're going to talk to the other agents and we'll make a decision. Or we have another agent to interview and we'll get back to you. Or we're going to ponder it over and we're going to kind of digest it a little bit. Some of you may have gotten that. And what we're trying to do is, of course, avoid that situation. And then if we do, that's okay. There's times where we can't, in a sense, avoid. Well, when I'm talking about avoiding, obviously you can't avoid them interviewing other agents. What I'm referring to is avoiding not knowing when you go out and do a presentation. Okay. So by knowing in advance, it gives you also the opportunity so that you can have the information and so that you are prepared. And you can ask following questions. Because remember, the most skilled and most successful realtors are going to be the realtors that ask questions between the questions. What would be a question between the questions? How many realtors are you looking to interview? Well, we're looking to interview 4. How many have you interviewed? Well, we've only interviewed 1. You would be the second one. Okay. Have you identified the other 2? Well, we have 1 in mind, and then we have one other one that we're wanting to add on. Okay, good. So after you interview 4, are you planning to interview more? No, I think we're good with 4. Okay, so I'm really excited. I'm super, I appreciate working with sellers like yourself. I always prefer to work with sellers that are better prepared. Now, I am curious though, what is it that you're looking for in your agent? What are you looking for in your agent? Okay. And then they're going to give you a list of things. We're looking for an agent that is very communicative. We're looking for an agent that, that's going to get our home sold. We're looking for an agent that's going to do staging. We're looking for an agent that's going to do a lot of open houses. We're looking for an agent that has a huge social media presence. I don't know, all of these different things. Okay. And in that, it gives us an opportunity to, of course, be better prepared so that when we go through, we do a presentation, we can talk about the pros and the cons, of course, of our competition. And or if you're in a stronger position, one thing that always gave me the upper hand was when they sat there and said, we're looking for an agent that has a great resume. Perfect. Good. Would it be okay if I brought not only my resume, but also the results of the other agents that are going to be interviewing? Cool. Okay. So that gave me the advantage of being able to outperform the others. Some of you don't, unfortunately, have that. And if you don't, you need to be prepared for that, because you're like, okay, how do I actually go and compete with somebody who has done 200 deals, 500 deals, 1,000 deals? How do I compete? I've only sold 3 houses. Well, you want to be able to look at how you're going to approach that. And sometimes the approach can be very simple of Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't sold a lot of houses. As a matter of fact, I've only been in the business for 6 months, maybe a year or 2 years. And why should you hire me? You're probably asking. The reason you should hire me is because if you go with Joe Schmo, okay, they have on average about 15 to 20 listings on every single month. And why is that disadvantage to you? Because you're going to be nothing more than a line item for them. The advantage of working with me is the fact that you will have an agent that's going to invest all of their time, energy, and effort. And there's nobody that's going to work harder for you than me. Nobody is going to work harder than myself that's going to get your home sold, because I'm going to spend all of my time, energy, and effort on your home. Would you rather have somebody who's going to be dedicating their time, energy, and effort on your home, or would you rather be a line item on Joe Schmo's sales board? So this gives you the opportunity to be better prepared. So again, I'm breaking down the scripts. If you have any questions, feel free, ask me. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. Just simply type away, or preferably just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay. Between question number 3 and question number 4, okay, you guys can't see it. Question number 3 is, tell me again, where are you moving to? Where are you moving to? Is this important? Absolutely. This is probably the most important question of them all. The fourth question is, how soon do you have to be there? Between those two questions, in most cases, I'll add another question or 2 or 10. What do I mean by that? Tell me again, where are you moving to? Oh, we're moving to San Diego. Oh, that's beautiful. What's taking you down to San Diego? Well, that's originally where I'm from. Okay, well, what part of San Diego are you looking to make a move to? Well, we're looking to make a move to North County. Okay, well, what part of North County? Well, we're looking to be a little bit closer to the ocean. Cool, awesome. What would be the benefit of making that move over to the ocean? Well, we're looking at possibly retiring here in the next year, 2 or 3, and we'd like to be in a position where we can live as near to the ocean as we possibly can. Great. Well, which towns or which cities do you actually prefer to be in? Well, we're probably thinking about Encinitas. We're thinking about Carlsbad. We've even toyed with the idea of maybe even Oceanside. We'd rather not stay so far inland like Escondido, but we might be open to Rancho Bernardo. There we go. Cool. Okay. And then you're going to ask more questions. Who's going with you? What's the benefit of making this move? Well, you mentioned you're originally from San Diego. What part of San Diego are you originally from? You guys are from Chula Vista. Well, that's a little bit of a ways. Do you have family still there? Who in your family is most excited about making this move with you? Who's going to be going with you in your family? What are the things you're most looking forward to when you get there? By the way, how soon are you wanting to be there? Okay. Now, why is this important? Because now what it does, it paints the picture of everything I talked about at the very, very beginning of today's session. And I talked about we pre-qualify for one of 2 reasons. Number 1 is knowing their motivation. Okay, I'll share with you guys here my fish story. I'm not going to do it today, okay, but I'll talk about a fish story of a listing that I took probably about a good 7 or 8 years ago. It's been a minute now, and it was basically an expired. I'm not going to share it today, but I'm going to share with you guys next week. It's basically an expired listing that I took. I went up against 5, 6 other realtors, and I took the listing, got the listing, and sure enough, I got the listing sold. But I'm going to share with you guys what made the difference between me versus the other 4 or 5. Actually, it was 5 other realtors that I competed with. Okay, and I'll share that with you guys next week. So you got to tune in next week. All right. I'm going to continue to break this down. We're going to get into role play next week. I do need participation. That's the purpose of this. We are going to be working on bettering our skills. And the whole purpose of this class is just to, of course, do that. Sitting here listening to me talk and rant for 20, 30 minutes. Cool. Awesome. Great. Thank you for tuning in. But I know it gets boring. Okay. So I get that. I understand. I wouldn't want to sit there and listen to Robert for 30 minutes, day after. So we can go ahead and get better skilled. So I'm going to encourage you, for those of you that are over YouTube, Instagram, you got to come join us so that we can make this a little bit more participatory. Okay. So in closing, any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything of anything that I can address before I let everybody go? No? All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Tomorrow, fortunately and unfortunately, we're going to go ahead and go dark. We're not going to end up having a session tomorrow. We'll come back next Tuesday. I've already had a few people, because of the extended weekend, they're going away, so on and so forth. So I do appreciate you guys being here, showing up on time, continuing to show up. I'm hoping that you guys see value. In closing, I have 4 coaching spots. Okay, I have 4 coaching spots. I'm not looking, as you guys may or may not know, I launched my own company, Millionaires in Training, MIT, and I've had that company now for about 2 months. And I'm only looking to basically simply coaching. But I do have 4 spots. If you're wanting more information in regards to what coaching consists of, if you're looking to double, triple, or even quadruple your income, or for that matter, be my 27th, 8th, or 29th millionaire agent, my perfect client, I'll share with you guys here, is a couple different options. There's one that is basically the Power of 5. The Power of 5 is basically an agent that's going to be doing 5 to 12 deals a year. Okay. So if you are looking about more information about that, and you're an agent that's doing 5 to 12 deals a year, that's going to be one of the different types of coaching that I do. The second one, which is probably the one that's the most common one, and that's going to be the agents that are doing about 12 plus, 12, 15, 20 plus deals a year that are wanting to get into the 40s, the 50s, making a half a million, making $1 million a year. I'll show you how to do that. That's the one-on-one coaching. If you're an agent that is in either of these criterias and you're wanting more information about coaching, trust me, I don't hard sell. Okay, there's no purpose of hard selling because I can sit here, you sign a contract, and if you don't do anything, it doesn't work. Okay, coaching only works if you're willing to put the effort in. You want more information, send me a DM. I'll send you the information. I'm not going to hard sell you. I'm just going to give you the information. If you guys want more info, or if you know of an agent, please feel free to let them know, share with them. I am looking for 4 more coaching clients. So if you guys are interested, let me know. You guys have an amazing rest of your week. Have a happy and safe and sane 4th of July. Okay, so be safe out there. And then I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday at 7:30. And we're jam-packed next week with a bunch of training. So I'll see you guys then. Have a powerful one. Go take a listing or 5, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in.